Hey guys, what's up? Plastic Guy here, coming back with another figure review, and today we're taking a look at this knockoff AliExpress SH Figuarts Friendly Neighbourhood Spider-Man figure. The original SH Figuarts Tobey Maguire Raimi Spider-Man is one of my favourites in the collection. We took a closer look at it over on the channel, so feel free to check that video out if you haven't already. And with it being one of my favourite figures, when the knockoff was revealed, I knew I was going to have to pick it up. Whether it was going to be the worst knockoff or the best knockoff ever, I needed the fake SH Figuarts in the collection, especially when I seen the first revealed images of it. It looked so meme-worthy, so goofy that it was so funny, I had to grab it. So this was around 20 bucks. Normally knockoffs on AliExpress are around 10 to 15, but with it being Tobey Maguire's Spidey, I wasn't too bothered about spending the 20. Arrived pretty quickly. As you can see, the box is intact, which is always a winner when you're purchasing from AliExpress. Normally the boxes are in tatters, but this one's held up pretty well. With that being said, let's take a closer look at this figure. So first of all, we'll take a closer look at the packaging that we get with the knockoff here. On the left we have the legit real SH Figuarts figure, and on the right is our AliExpress knockoff. So we can see on the original we have a white font here, on the fake it's black. The colours are pretty accurate, pretty spot on. We don't have the Bandai logo up in the top right of our fake, and we don't have the Tamashii Nations quality sticker either, which I think is a good thing that we're missing that sticker, just so we know for sure that this is a fake. We once again don't have the Bandai images down here. We do have the Spider-Man logos matching up. On the side of the packaging here, pretty identical. We don't get SH Figuarts logo at the top of this one. Weird that they put it on the front of the box but nowhere else. On the back, pretty identical again. Once again we're missing that SH Figuarts logo, but same images overall, and then pretty identical on the other side as well. Enough of the box, let's get the figure out. So let's do what we always do here on the channel and take a closer look at what accessories that we get with this figure. They are all replicas of the original legit version. There isn't anything added here or anything less. We do get the exact same stuff, but obviously with varying quality. So we'll take a closer look at the web accessories first. I'll take this away, it'll be easier. I will say I think the web accessories are actually pretty good and very accurate to the original figure. Nice translucent plastic, and the sculpt is pretty identical from what I can tell. So it's sturdy enough, it's bendable enough, you know, this doesn't feel overly cheap, and once again I think the web accessories are pretty decent here. You can't complain at all with the web accessories. We get that one long version, and then we get the two medium whipping webs that port in around his wrist, and once again accurate to the original. Nice plastic they've used, I think. And then we get the two short versions, as you can see here, and you can see on this one there is a wee bit of excess plastic there, but that can just snap off or cut off if you're careful. So overall, fine with the web accessories. We then get a load of interchangeable hands, including the two pointing ones, and all the hands, I will say, are nicely sculpted. They do have a varying quality of paint application to them, and speaking of paint application, please ignore the state of my hands. I've been painting all week at work and it's difficult to get off, but yeah, the hands are all pretty good. I can say that I'm pretty impressed. I thought these would be difficult to port on, because I know with the original figure at the best of times it can be really fidgety, but these port on perfectly. They click on, they feel secure, nice portholes at the bottom of all of them, and as I said, the paint on them, they hold up. It's just when you kind of flip them around, you can see on the inside it doesn't have the added paint, but on the outside they look good. And I will say these are the hands that hold the mask. It holds the mask fine. I thought stuff like that would differ in quality. It would maybe struggle to hold the mask. Let's show off the mask right here. So the mask that he holds in his hand, once again, easily done, no struggle at all, it holds it well. I've taken pictures for my Instagram, so feel free to hop on over there guys. I'll leave the link in my description and you can see the likes of that in play. I will say with the mask, lenses look great, but there's no web lines painted anywhere on here. which is a wee bit disappointing, but once again, we're only paying £20 for this original £80 figure. There's going to be a cut in quality somewhere. I will say as well, the plastic looks a wee bit brighter than the rest of the figure. If you hold it up next to it, you can see the shade of red looks a bit off. But overall, I mean, the sculpt's there, and I think this looks alright. Definitely not too disappointed with the lack of web lines. And then moving on, we get Tooth whipping hands. Once again, nicely painted on the outside, nicely sculpted, but then on the inside it's missing the paint. We then get the web line holding hands, and basically same comments here. This one does have a bit of a paint smudge on the other side. This one's just lacking paint altogether, but nothing wrong with these work as well. I've been using them, all the hands are great. And then, weirdly enough, the last hands that we get, the wall crawling ones, the wide open hands, they do have paint on the inside of them and the outside. I mean, these look great, and I guess it was just easier to paint these ones, so we get some good paint applications on these wall crawling hands. And then, what a lot of us have probably been waiting for, we get the Tobey Maguire head sculpts, and prepare yourselves. I'll be honest, this one isn't that bad, especially with what I was expecting from those initial images that were shown on the likes of Instagram. I would say the worst thing about this one is the eyebrows, and with that being said, I am going to try and remove the eyebrows and paint my own ones on. It's just something I've thought of, because when you do look at the sculpt, overall it's not too bad. The sculpt's there, the eyes and everything aren't terrible. It could use a wee bit of touch up of paint at the top of the hairline there, but the worst thing about this neutral expression is those eyebrows, and so if they were to come off and be repainted, it might look quite a bit better. But at the moment, yeah, that's definitely giving me like Spider-Man vibes. It's quite funny. At this point, I will say as well, the whole neck system is different to the original figure. So originally, I believe the pegs were coming out of the neck. We will take a closer look at the legit version, of course, but I believe the pegs were coming out of the neck, and you'd just be swapping the heads over and stuff. With this knockoff, I cannot get the original neck out of the figure. I said on my Instagram, a wee bit of heat might help that. I'm not really bothered about swapping the necks over when the heads can just be swapped over anyway, sort of. I'll get to that. But yeah, if you are picking this up, beware. You might struggle to port the necks on and off, and you might need to use a wee bit of heat, if that even works. At the moment, it seems pretty solid trying to get the original neck off, but we do get this alternative neck with the skin tone and the head. And then, with that being said, peg wise and whatnot, the head that's on at the moment, so the Spidey head, it has a peg on the head sculpt, and I don't know if that's meant to be the case, if that's the way it's just coming off. Every time I've taken the Spidey head sculpt off the body, the peg's been in the head, so it leaves the neck like this, and it means when you go to put this head sculpt on, you just need to rest it on there. You can use a bit of blue tack, of course. It does stay on pretty well, just kind of pushing it onto the body, so once again, it's not something that I'm too bothered about at the moment. But worth mentioning, this knockoff definitely has a whole different system to the interchangeable heads and neck parts, so that's that head. We then get the other Tobey Maguire head sculpt, which, prepare yourself again, this one's definitely worse. Yeah, this one is definitely, I don't know what you could do to this one to save it. It's not just the eyebrows that's making it look super cursed. But with that being said, I still don't actually think it's as bad as that initial image that popped up on Instagram. And that's why I picked this figure up. I thought this was going to be completely meme worthy. But with it being slightly better than that original image, I don't know, it's not as like much of a laughing stock as I was expecting. You could do a whole repaint of this. I mean, the sculpt's there, but I definitely don't have the skills to do that. And I'm happy to have this dorky ass looking Tobey head sculpt. I mean, it is funny. And this one does have a peg in the head, so that does actually port onto the body pretty well, and we can check that out later in the video. And so that now leaves us with the base figure itself. And honestly, having played around with this thing, it's actually pretty good. I don't know, I had really low expectations, so they would have been pretty easy to surpass. They all came from that initial Tobey head sculpt, so obviously I was imagining something really messed up here, and what we actually get is decent to say the least. Him standing here, we can see that the red is slightly mismatched with the upper body and the stomach area here. But then the head sculpt's fairly good. Moving this thing around, all the joints are smooth, they're not loose. There is one kind of loose joint here in the upper, his right leg. That one is loose, but it can hold a pose really well. It moves nicely. I mean, I do not know. They've done a good job here, especially for a £20 knockoff. The plastic immediately feels cheap. As soon as you take the figure out of the box, you can feel the difference in quality. But, you know, you get what you pay for. There are some areas in the sculpt that are really dodgy, like the bottom of the neck here, there's just some kind of miscoloured bulge sticking out, and that does get in the way when you're trying to move the neck around and pose the head a wee bit. But it's not the worst. Noticeably as well, just kind of in the lower chest area there's like a chunk sort of scraped along. It was like that straight out the box. And then in this area here, I'm not gonna lie, the legs are kind of messy, which folk said about the original, so obviously when folk go to bootleg it, it's really not going to help matters. But just in terms of the sculpt, you can see there's a slight kind of gap here where the red meets the blue. And yeah, I don't really know about... Everything moves, it's not coming apart at all, but it does feel cheap and nasty in at the legs here. And you can see that it just looks like a total mess. But when you get them in a pose, as I said, it holds it really well, and when you're taking your pictures for the likes of Insta, TikTok, whatever, you're not really going to notice this as much. It's only when you are moving it around and posing them that you do notice it. But once he's in that pose, it's not too much of a problem. You can see the kind of gappage with the movable parts and whatnot in there, but that's the worst of it. Apart from that, this thing... I'm happy, man. Like, it's more than I expected for sure. This bit definitely looks a wee bit ugly, the back of the pants there. But yeah, the waist isn't too bad. The silver webbing's painted really well. And I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, like, this gunmetal grey that they've used on this bootleg SH Figuarts is probably better than the real deal Marvel Legends. That bright silver just doesn't do it for me at all. And then looking at the SH Figuarts knockoff here, I can't complain, I really can't. Obviously some red bleeding through the blue plastic there, but the logos have came out really well. Like, that back logo is really accurate to the original, painted nicely. The front logo looks excellent in my opinion. I'm chuffed. Other things I've noticed, there is like just kind of gappage going on when you port the hands in, and it's kind of with every set of interchangeable hands. They port on really nicely, they move about really nicely, but it does look a bit gappy in my opinion, and I don't remember the original being quite like that. As well, when you're moving the arms around, I don't know if I can show this off, yeah, you can see that bottom arm is moving about and it's exposing one of the pins in there. So I have moved that around a wee bit. It's something to be aware when you're posing this guy around. But yeah, I think that's all the negatives. Overall, they've captured the sculpt very well for a $20 knockoff. The paints are pretty decent. As I said, the plastic's cheaper, but that's to be expected. My expectations have definitely been surpassed, once again, to say the least. I don't really want to hype this thing up too much. It is a bootleg. I would always expect the worst when ordering a bootleg. Every individual bootleg's probably going to come out a different quality, so one could be really good, the next one can be really bad. So I'm not saying, you know, I'm not hyping this thing up, I'm saying go and buy it. Always keep your expectations low when you're picking a knockoff up. And then you might get lucky and get one that's to a fairly good standard and you'll be chuffed to bits with it. We didn't take a closer look at the head sculpt. With the Tobey Maguire ones being so damn bad, the Spider-Man masked one here I would say is good. The web lines are a wee bit wonky, the paint's definitely not as good up here on the head sculpt as the likes of the chest here. But once again, you're getting what you pay for. It's good enough for me, definitely. And so here is our SH Figuarts legit Friendly Neighbourhood Spider-Man figure on the left, next to our AliExpress knockoff on the right, and of course our real version is looking far superior. It's a lot more slick, it's seamless, the paint's better. I would also say the texturing is a lot more noticeable here on our original version. Overall it just holds up a lot better, and of course you're going to be better off getting the original, and I do advise you pick up the original. But with all that being said, I do think, once again, you're getting what you pay for. $20 versus $80. This one is fine. And then to compare the head sculpts, we've got the smiling head sculpts. Once again, of course, on the left is our real version, and yeah, it is 100 times better than this bootleg. You can see how the bootleg got to this point, but yeah, skin tone is totally different. Even the paint and the hair, the original is far, far superior. And then again, we've got the neutral head sculpts. And once again, I think really the biggest downfall of this knockoff is the eyebrows. I will say, obviously, putting these side by side, the flesh tone does look very bad on the knockoff, but when you take that away, it's not as noticeable. Yeah, I'm interested to see what this thing's going to look like with his eyebrows done up. And then we've got our AliExpress knockoff SHF Tobey next to the legitimate SH Figuarts, the Amazing Spider-Man Andrew Garfield figure here. And I'm guessing we'll be getting a bootleg of this one. Like, if they've made a bootleg of the Tobey figure, it would only make sense to make a bootleg of the Andrew Garfield. Who knows, but it'd definitely be interesting to see how that one would turn out. And so here is our Friendly Neighbourhood Spider-Man next to a couple of great Toy Biz figures. We've got the Spider-Man 1 movie Green Goblin figure, that's the one with the removable helmet, and the Spider-Man 2 magnetic Spidey figure. And I will say, on eBay at the moment, it does seem that you can pick up the Toy Biz figures for quite a bit cheaper than they were going for in previous years. I mean, around the No Way Home time, they were genuinely going for hundreds at one point, and now I've seen them going for more to the £20 to £30 price mark. So if you can get your hands on a Toy Biz Spider-Man for around £20, I would definitely recommend doing that over getting the fake AliExpress SH Figuarts for £20. Here's Spider-Man next to our two latest Marvel Legends Raimi figures. And yeah, you're still probably better off getting the Marvel Legends over this one, right? I don't know. But here he is. Of course, it's the SH Figuarts scale, so he is a wee bit smaller than these two. And let's just quickly swap Goblin out for our Andrew Garfield unmasked figure here. Something I'm definitely interested in doing here is some head swaps and seeing what different head sculpts look like on our fake SHF figure here. I have this incredible head sculpt from Mohammed Farul on Instagram. Hope I'm saying that right. Mohammed Farul, I believe. He's supplying half of the fig collectors on Instagram with these amazing Raimi head sculpts. This is the version 5 for the SHF, I have it for the Marvel Legends as well, and I've posted a fair few pictures now of these head sculpts over on my Instagram, so feel free to go and check that out. But they are insane, especially if you're a Raimi fan. I think they are a must-have, and they immediately upgrade both the SHF and the Marvel Legends especially. But I definitely want to see how this fits on to our fake one here, and it of course does have the different peg systems, so I'm just setting it on, and that looks pretty good. I would say it's not necessarily the Spider-Man head sculpt you need to worry about with the knockoff here. It's the Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire head sculpts, but this looks good. So if you do have a custom Spidey head sculpt, it will fit on there, but bear in mind the peg system is a bit different. We've got our Peter Parker head sculpt from the Toy Biz Spider-Man 1 movie figures, and I drilled this one out so it does fit on the likes of the Web Trap Spider-Man from Spider-Man 2. I still really like this head sculpt. Unfortunately, with the different peg systems and the wideness of the neck here, it's not going to fit on. Last but not least is this custom Tobey Maguire head sculpt that I got on eBay years ago. I always get people asking me when they see it on Instagram where it's from, and it is from eBay. They went off site for a while, but I do believe that I saw this back up on eBay a couple of days ago for around £20. So if you do like the look of this, head straight over to eBay, see if it's still up there. They might even be on AliExpress. I don't really know the origin of it at all, but I think it's pretty decent. Once again, I've said before on the channel, it definitely looks more like a Spider-Man 3 Bully Maguire head sculpt, but I mean, it's damn better than the Tobey head sculpts we're getting with this knockoff. So I'm hoping that this one's gonna. It's a wee bit. The neck's looking a wee bit long. It's not bad. It's not terrible. It's just sitting on there and no more. I don't really want to push it down in case I break the head sculpt, but I wish it was a wee bit better. He's looking like he's got a long neck. I nearly moved on and then thought I would try the Marvel Legends Tobey Maguire head sculpt, and yeah, it's too big. He's got a bobblehead. And so I'm not gonna quite run over the articulation on this knockoff SHF here. I just generally don't really enjoy going over the articulation on figures, and I also think it can be summed up pretty well by saying they have done a pretty good job at emulating that original articulation of the legit version. I had a pretty heavy pose sesh with this last night and I had a lot of fun. It got into all the poses that I wanted to. I will say maybe the range of movement in the legs is ever so slightly lessened, like I couldn't get them quite as high up as the original, but once again it still managed to get into all the poses that I wanted to. And as I said at the start of the video, the joints and everything are really smooth. There's definitely no complaints from me at all in the terms of articulation, and I don't think we're missing anything different comparing it to the original. So articulation wise, definitely just expect similarities, very strong similarities to that original version. And so there we have it for our knockoff AliExpress SH Figuarts Friendly Neighbourhood. I'm calling him Spodderman because he's not quite Spider-Man with those Tobey Maguire head sculpts. I really hope I've covered anything you want to know. I have had quite a few inquiries on Instagram about this release, and it's not a surprise because it's definitely interesting. If I have missed anything, then please give me a message over on Instagram and I'll try and answer any queries that you may have. Let me know what you guys think of this figure down in the comment section below. I can definitely say that I am pleasantly surprised with this knockoff AliExpress SHF for around 20 bucks. Yeah, let me know your thoughts while you're down there, guys. If you could please do me a massive favour, hit that like button, and if you're new to the channel then stick around, hit that subscribe button. I said I'd leave the link to my Instagram in the description below, which I will do. Feel free to hop on over there. Check out any pictures that I post of this figure. I did have a lot of fun posing this thing around, and I'll get them up at the same time as this video. Feel free to hop on over to the channel page as well. Check out any of my other videos. It means a lot to me that you've watched this video right here, guys, so thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll catch yous on the flip-flop later. Cheers.